Hello, hello, Kalu, Kalay, what are we doing today? How are we all doing, everybody? My name is Notepad Anon, your one and only host. What's up with today? What's poppin'? What's Zoinkin, as one might even be saying? Well, I meant to stream earlier today, fun fact. I meant to stream about an hour ago, but I got caught up talking to people. And that's what happens when I talk to people. I get distracted. My mental headspace goes awry, and I end up doing things I'm regretting, like not plugging in my phone. Well, not phone, my new clock. I gotta plug in my new alarm clock, and then when I'm done plugging in my new alarm clock, this time it's just slipping through my fingers. I can't hold. Crawling in my skin is one. Oh, did you get the new Nintendo Alarmo? No, I got a $10 Amazon Basic thing. It's an alarm clock because I've realized that I don't wake up very well. And today was the first time in a long time I actually woke up at a decent hour. And that was because of rampant binge drinking. And I'm like, I feel as though that shouldn't be the case. I should not be able to wake up at a decent hour due to binge drinking. That seems unproductive. But we're here to work, and working is what we do best. So, a couple things going on. Kind of talked about this last time on Dragon Ball Z. The current situation is this is the current setup. This is what we're currently doing. We're gonna be working on Broken Crucible first. Now I'm just going to tactically move. Okay, we're just gonna let's unlock you. Let's unlock you. We're going to tactically move you all down here, and then we're going to see. Can I move you? Okay, we're going to tactically move you down here as well. So we're going to tactically remove Palinka, like just oh sweet Jesus. Just to give you an idea of how massive Palinka effect actually was, Broken Crucible is a lot more manageable, for better or for worse, as one might say. So, generally speaking, the most basic premise of Broken Crucible is it's a sci-fi heroic fantasy. What does this mean? Well, it means we have to have some sci-fi elements, we have to have some fantasy elements. It's usually when people say, like, oh, it's a sci-fantasy. What is a sci-fantasy, actually? Sci-fantasy literally means nothing. It's like, oh, there are aliens and we are also magic. I decided to go with this a little bit, but so the basic idea is that the planet has a thing called the Crucible. And the Crucible lets you become a fucking god. That's pretty powerful. I like this idea. It's interesting. It's got the I can create a fucking I want to be a goddamn god on it. Now, the thing is, this unexplainable thing, currently known as the Crucible, really needs you to attempt to go for it. It's a set of trials, effectively. And those sets of trials can be undertaken by many people. Now, the big thing, though, is that if we go over here, the entire premise is that there are aliens and there are the more traditional fantasy races. Effectively, there are people who actually live on this planet, and the people who actually live on this planet don't quite know that there are space people, but space people want to go there. Let me see. So, the thing is, everyone that is a Stellarch, everyone from space, has effectively signed an agreement saying, okay, we are not going to fuck with the native ecology, effectively. However, we all want this power, so only a select few races can ever go down to this planet when the Crucible is active and attempt to become a god. Why do we want to become a god? Because it effectively lets us break every rule. We are allowed to break physics and break conventional everything. Imagine if, like, once every, couple of years, someone had the option of just breaking reality. Being like, yeah, people would be sending their A game here. Same idea. Problem, though. The main issue, though, is that you are going from fully automated gay space communism to not that, to a very traditional fantasy world. So it's kind of the idea of, like, okay, you've got people with laser guns who are trying to fit in, because that's the big thing. You need to fit in. Star people. Star people come anytime the Crucible is active, and you get amazing heroes and all this. They try to integrate themselves into this world to effectively earn the favor of the Crucible to become its gods. Say the actual people on the planet can't achieve this. It's just a little bit more, I'm an actual hero, and there's a job called the hero job. And there are, oh, what are you? I'm an adventurer who is trying to build up a... I'm literally trying to develop and build my skills so I have a chance of becoming a god at one point, because people just know that is a thing that occurs. It is a natural phenomenon to reach apotheosis, but not very many people do it because shit's hard. In basic game idea, yes, video games, but well, tabletop games anyway, is we're going to be using the 12v4 system. Now, we've talked about and we've used the 12v4 and a couple other things. The two games that we've used the 12v4 system for is Somata, a game about hacking people to death, and Zombie Dark 30, a game similarly about hacking people to death. Most of the idea is the 12v4 system's seen a few renditions and seen a few different ways of doing things. So this one's going to be kind of our more, I wouldn't call it generic, but like reliable way of doing the 12v4, which is going to feed into the SRD nightmare down here. Ooh. But yeah. Now, one of the main things about this is this concept here. Effectively, you are rising through the ranks as you try to fight, as you are trying to earn favor and earn a lot of different things. The big idea is, when you start out as Wanderers, there are things that are capped out. You can't be too good at anything. You're pretty normal people, all things can be. And these lead into your passions. It's a carrot and stick mechanic. A passion is something that you get a bonus die for simply pursuing. I am passionate about being wealthy. I believe that being wealthy is the optimal state of being. And then it becomes a compulsion later on. As you grow in the ranks, as you become a hero, as you become a legend, as you become a myth, it grows to become a compulsion. If I don't do this, I take a penalty, but I get a bigger bonus out of it. So you're always like, I'm compelled to do it. I want to do it. And then it's an obsession. There is an active detriment when you are not pursuing your goal. Like, as long as you are sticking with it, you're doing good, but you're taking a pretty nasty penalty to it should you try to act against it. Then leads to your defining. This is legitimately your end-all be-all. This is your entire sense of being and sense of self. Effectively, by the time you hit apotheosis, you have one defining aspect about yourself. If greed has defined you from day one, then you will become a god of greed. because that's something that defines your being. That's something that is not only just a little part of you, not something that drives you forward. I want to be rich, I want to be powerful. It is something that you must actively pursue. No one can have more than you, and if they have more than you, you need to take it from them. And that's kind of the idea, is certain character, you know, as the character grows in influence and grows in power, so do these more, so do these more, you know, impassioned statements do. I want, you know, I'm, you know, passionate about this, then I'm compelled to do it, then now I'm obsessed with it, now this is who I am. And that would grow gradually over time. Generally speaking, what I was thinking about doing is like a tier system. But instead of like a, instead of like a pyramid example, everything kind of stacks up on each other. It's more like staircases almost. You know, gradually the stair gets smaller and smaller and more specific. But you can drag a passion down here up to being in a defining feature about yourself here. You're pretty much upgrading your individual things that you care about upwards. And you start with being a little greedy to begin with, and then it just gradually spirals out of control effectively for you to the point where that is your entire sense of being. This is a problem for you. Now, one of the other ideas is it's kind of the natural breakpoint, where it's kind of the idea that you can only really fight something, or you are on equal terms with something one step above you on this little chart here. You might fight goblins to begin with as a wanderer. Yeah, you're just this vagabond, effectively. You might be from the stars, but you are effectively a random homeless person. You might be fighting goblins, you might be chopping down them, but then you'll find something that is heroic scale. It's going to get a small advantage over you, and it wants to beat the shit out of you, but you can overcome a heroic issue. You do that, congratulations, you're now heroes. Fighting something of a lower tier, fighting a wanderer tier enemy is going to be a lot easier for you. You've ascended past them. Your stats might be the exact same, but you're just better than them. But now you can confront legends. Now you can confront, you know, legends into myths into apotheosis. The idea being that if you're a wanderer, encountering something that is legendary, they're going to kill you. You lose. It is such a drastic shift in power. At kind of the one idea of thinking about it is like as your standard Greek hero, you know, standard Greek hero man, at the start of the story he might be encountering another asshole. He might be encountering an asshole with a spear, like ooga booga booga, I am, you know Diclonicus or whatever. But at the end of his story, he is, you know, confronting the, you know, the fucking, you know, Munatar or whatever. And you know, the giant cow man wants to kill you with a giant axe. I mean, like, generally speaking, this is a higher threat, but we could use the same math for it, roughly. So characters can advance without needing to change the math drastically. That's the goal, anyway. I'm getting pinged. Who's pinging me? Let's see. What are we working on? Okay, so our cores. So the basic idea I have over here is we're changing things up a little bit from here. One of them is the idea of your might, aura, deafness, insight, and presence. Names pending, of course. The idea is that these are your attributes, but they are not... They're not the, like, traditional way you would think about attributes. This is a pool of resources. Effectively, it's a pool of dice, pool of d12s that you can tap into if you need help on something. Oh no, I'm not going to succeed at this check. I've only rolled 3 successes. I needed 5 successes. Have no fear. Grab a few dice. Grab two d12s from your might pool. You roll this. Cool, you scored an additional 2. You scored the number of successes you needed on those 2 dice. Now, the thing is, this does not restore quickly. It's a very slow burn. It's kind of like the, during an adventure, these aren't recovering. During our expeditions into the fantastical dungeon or whatever, we're not recovering these easily. So there it's like, okay. So, but every time you level up, you get more dice to play with. Every time you are going through the various tiers, you're improving the amount of stuff that you're getting. So I'm like, okay, easy enough to understand. Then we've got skills. Now, the idea with skills is pretty simple. I thought like 24 skills, but no combat skills. That is a very reoccurring trend I've realized in good old fashioned the 12v4 system. Because the idea of the 12v4 system is that nearly everyone's got like the art. In Zombie Dark 30, you did not actually have a combat skill. You just had your combat capability rating. It's your CCR. That is how many dice you'll be rolling in a combat scenario no matter what. Because you're a trained soldier. In Zamada, you are trained in various fields. This is your thing. This is how you don't need to... you don't need to invest points in knowing how to fight because you've been fighting your entire life. So I'm like, okay, so with the 24 skills, staring into the void here. Like banter, etiquette, investigation, easy enough to understand. Roguery is a little weird. Mercantile, we can probably change to something else. Stealth is easy, survival is easy, travel. We cut survival. Why don't we cut survival? Because that's effectively what it would be. We cut survival, forge it into travel. Beauty. I like the idea of beauty. Because again, we're looking at godly stats. We're looking at things that make you more interesting as a mythological hero in the making. That's the best way to think about it. How do you become you're a mythological hero? Being able to say, I'm just beautiful, I'm just pretty, and that's a skill you can get better at. I'm like, yeah, okay, that is, it's a little goofy, but it's fun. I was gonna split Arcana and Stellarch into whether you are Star Race or not. The idea being, Arcana is entirely magic. People on the planet, people on Crucible, can actually use magic powers. They can cast Fireball. You are playing a Star Race, you can't cast Fireball. You, however, have a gun. You know how to use technology, and you know how to interface with the various doodads on the planet that make it such a weird place. So that's kind of that idea. Then we have mechanics, pretty easy to understand. Intuition, medicine. Volition can probably change. We'll probably have to change physical instrument. We'll probably have to change shivers. Endurance. We can probably cut endurance entirely. And then we've got our very basic field skills, which I think field skills are a good thing to have, and I like the way that I've done them so far. So let's see. I mean, if we just cut the ones that we're thinking about cutting. That brings us down 1, 2. 17, we can probably, if we have kind of like an open slot for 3 more, we can probably try to field some answers there to get a good idea. But yeah, skills are pretty easy. I don't expect people to have like a ton of skills, as you kind of see with Samata, for example. Samata, for example, has things down here, being like, yeah, I know you don't get that many action dive from an individual skill. It's usually going to be something like 1 to 3 to begin with. As you kind of advance here, it's like 1 to 3, actually like 1 to 4, 5, 6. Then you hit like one thing can be 7, one thing can be 8. Like, these are insane, because if we assume that every D12, let's assume that this is a 12 here. The big thing to note is that every D12 you roll, if you have a skill that instantly says, I can roll 1 to 3, I can roll between 1 to 3 successes. That's pretty good. That is a pretty defining nature of every D12 is technically 1 to 3 successes. Likelihood of scoring that success is low, but not impossible. But if you kind of correlate this to various things, you can kind of think that you have a, what was the, exact odds? To score less than a, so it would be, you roughly have got a 20, you've got a little bit above a 75% chance to score 1 success. This dissipates quickly, because now it's, let's see, it's 1, 2, 7. Then it goes up to about a 40% chance, roughly speaking, 40% chance for 2 successes. And then you have the final, percent. Oh, God, did not mean to hit that button. Then you kind of have the final point, you have the final, like, less like 9-ish% of actually scoring 3 successes. However, if you think about it, I have a dice pool of, if I have a dice pool of 4 D12s, suddenly that is, my chances of scoring a lot of successes has increased drastically. I am more likely to score more successes. And if every single one roughly correlates to 1 success, that's pretty fucking good, actually. You could score a lot. You want as many dice as possible. Score the super big successes. Super big successes mean super big results. I'm okay with it. I think this gives that kind of, so it's like, if you have like an 8 in a skill, you got to think about it as rolling in addition to whatever else. Let's say you've got like, you got like a +2 somewhere because of an obsession. You've got like a, imagine rolling this many D12s. Imagine rolling 12 D12s. And those 12 D12s can roughly score you 1 success each. It's pretty good odds, right, of scoring a couple successes. The likelihood of not scoring successes is drastically lowered. That's like, okay, okay, I feel a lot more confident now. So you want to get as many dice as you can, which skills are going to form a majority of your character. Then we get into arts. Now, arts, there's a couple ideas with arts. Kind of, you can think about an art. An art is something that you can always do. In most of the games in ZDT, the only art you had was your combat capability rating. I'm good at killing people because I am a professional soldier. Okay, Samata, you had your combat and your medicine art. Because you were always assumed to be able to do medicine. You were always assumed to be able to be a doctor in some trained capacity. Because you are the slaves to Amrato. So I'm like, the arts in this game I have so far. Bring out my helpful little notebook here, because I wrote down some ideas here. So, I ate too much. Generally speaking, I was thinking about 3 to 5 arts. 3 to 5 art, which it was going to be like mystic stuff. There's like mystic stuff. Then we have combat, which might get subdivided into melee and range, or just maybe keep the same. We have technology, and we have soul stuff. Now, obviously, this is a little bit weird, so we need to change some of these, and we need to make these a little bit easier to understand. So if we're thinking of effectively, this is a Greek epic role-playing. This is a Greek epic, except we're in fucking space. I think having combat is essential to this. I think having combat is going to be on there no matter what. I am okay with combat being on there. Do we split combat, though? That's the question. Part of me says yes, so you can play, hey, I'm a fantastic ranger, I'm not as good at melee combat, or I am a shining knight of virtue, I'm going to hack people's faces off, but I don't know how to shoot a bow. See, this is one of those more interesting queries where it's like, okay, do you split up the nature of ranged and melee combat, or do you keep combat the exact same? But this was even something I was debating on adding classes, because your race was going to give you effectively some of your starting cores that you can kind of draw from, and like a special ability, and maybe like a bonus to an art or some skills or something. Like it's a smattering of things you get from your race by virtue of being born and raised in this culture. That's going to be the thing with all the cultures and spaces, that they're almost all uniform, except humans, because we don't like the government. As Piccolo would say, I don't like the government. Was Conan a good archer? Let's think of Conan. So I don't think so. No, it'd be Subatoy. That was the only one. Mm. Mm. I mean, maybe we go. Then we go melee. We go melee combat, ranged combat, melee combat, ranged combat. We do arcane arts. Actually, yeah. I want to use magic / I want to use technology. Then we put in something like a little bit like everyone's going to be assumed to have some wit about them. Like that's just your default thing. I always meant to ask this, what is the lore in the background picture of your browser? What do you mean? What could you possibly mean about the extremely ominous notepad grabbing at you, which multiple people have reported has scared them before? No, there's no lore. I said that for like a joke like 3 years ago, and I've never changed it, and I think I would be weirded out if I did change it at this point. So that's just what it is now. I wake up every morning, open Google, and I see this just looking at me ominously. I think it wakes me up. It keeps me active, keeps me on my toes, makes me remember that I'm not me, that I am simply a fucking a brain homunculus conjured in by the sins of the people. A brain homunculus. Truly a forsaken art. God, let's see. The ominous grab compels you. Okay, I mean, let's think. I want people interacting with mystical stuff. I want certain people to be better at interacting with mystical stuff than other people, so if we do this, we can remove that skill. Like, it's a permanent art that you are just assumed to know. Wit, which is that. What in doubt? What I want. This is what happened. That I've got the idea. I've got what I want to do. It's the question of how I want to. Because I think we can do with melee ranged. That I think we're going to stick with. But magic? Maybe? Because only one group is actively using magic. The jumpers will. So if only one group is using magic, that art, so we need to counter that art with something else. I guess it would be technology. Guess we could. It would be like magic or stealth attack. Like, yeah, magic is being able to cast a fireball reliably. Stealth attack is knowing that all the fucking gnomes are drones. Okay, that's reliable. Like you know your stealth attack. Hmm. Hmm. I want. That's what I'm thinking of. Like we put in something like wit, because if we put something in like wit, this would be like just intelligence and like just knowledge of like this would just be like basic knowledge of things. Just like you are a learned man, like you are a witty person. Guess that wouldn't even be that though, right? Wit is mental sharpness and keen intelligence. But what would you call? I can stab you. I can shoot you. I can use magic, or I can know about all the technology on the. I fundamentally know things about how to assist myself, to assist us with mystic magic garba. I am using Wonder Tech versus I am using Fireball. What else we want to be demigodic heroes. Demigodic heroes? We want to be Greek. Hmm. 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 See, it's I can see what we need, but putting it down into words is difficult. let's see, what are we doing in this game? We are gallivanting around the countryside, solving problems, going on quests, slaying beasts. We are being heroes. We are being characters, building up our reputation and building up our nature to more successfully, confront bigger enemies, to build up our nature to inevitably become as gods. We've got skills, we've got melee, we've got ranged, we've got mystic tech. See, putting in wits, like, it's covered by skills. You think we can get away with just these three? If we can get away with just these three, the main ways of combat, these are your actual combat abilities. Guess we can put, hey. I guess we can put in maneuver. So, for context sake, people joining in, we're working on Broken Crucible. And we're working on the idea of arts. Now, effectively, every character's got three things to really worry about. They've got their cores, which are effectively a grab bag pool of things that they can grab from if they need help with something. Oh no, I'm in danger and I want to grab some... I want to grab some loose D12s out of this little pool, effectively. So cool, I've grabbed some things out of this little pool, I roll, I've got some good results. I've got something out of them. You don't roll might, though. You just take things from might. A good amount of skills, which generally we're about here with all the skills. And these are going to cover most of what your character can do in most situations. What are these are things that you know and understand and or can do. Oh my, oh me. Contrasting these are your core, which are your arts. Your arts are things everyone has. And I guess we can do... If we keep it to maneuver, like we borrow a little there, the idea of maneuver would be doing anything that is not strictly related to combat. It is not strictly related to beating the shit out of someone. However, I want to accomplish something in the middle of a battle. I want to shove the chest over, drop it on. I want... Solid $20 bratty toaster. Good night for it, I'll tell you that much. Hello, Solid $20 bratty toaster. See, it has been requested that I have additional redeems for the Bratty Toaster Diaz. Just constantly have it available. I was thinking about upping the price of the Bratty Toaster Diaz's to 500 note coin, but it could be done at any time. And the Bratty Toaster stays until it has been shot and killed. But another part of me wants this reaction. Another part of me lives for this reaction. the bratty toaster. One might. Solid's $20 bratty toaster. Even the most despicable of creatures, the La Creatura, as one might even shoot the bratty toaster option, more shoot the bratty toaster. I mean, if we're thinking about combat, we want combat to be flowy. We want it to be. We want it to be. Is this good? Is this really all we need? Melee combat, range combat, mystic stuff, anything you are doing that is not directly combat related would be a maneuver check. Trying to get an advantage on an enemy would be attempting to do a maneuver. I feel like that's too broad. Like it needs to be focused down into something else. What am I missing? Tell me, chat. What am I missing? That's definitely not $20 bratty toasters. Tell you what I am getting. I'm getting very tired. I woke up very early this morning. I woke up at 6 a.m. after passing out at 9. The wacky things are being posted in VC chat. What do you mean wacky things are being posted?
Okay, but what?
Not bad. Aren't you streaming right now?
Watch the one with the lovely flowers. It's...
It's too late, Notepad. It's already been saved directly to my phone.
Everybody...
Yeah, okay. So, good news, everyone. I had to, sorry about that, everyone. I had to take a quick step back and talk to my server for a second about people posting cringe. I usually I usually try not to deal with these things. But I was forced to be called away that instant. So, no. But generally speaking... Yeah, there's a gigantic laugh in this section of the stream, by the way. I expect nothing less. I expect absolutely nothing less. This is the kind of comedy... This is the kind of comedy show that we all actually look forward to. I just had to say no a few times and stop posting cringe, but I can't stop posting cringe because that is my server. All of you, none of us are going to meet God at this rate. None of us will meet God. None of us. Oh God. Easy answer would be this. We still have up in there. Second. Effectively, elf, dwarfy dwarf, human, fantasy human, 90s anime, Manon, hobbit, a Roman. Up here, the Wookiees. What did I end up calling the Wookiees? Buddhist Wookiees. Space humans. Oops, only soul upload. Only uploads. Not Cenobite. Cenobites, but fancy. Like, trying to find that fifth one right here. That fifth star race is not clicking. I don't know what's not clicking there. I need something, and I don't know what that thing is. That's the beautiful thing. There's an option here, and I don't know what it is. If any of you have any space rates, yeah, let's go for it. Like, it's, because I was thinking, like, why don't we add, like, Asari in? I know everyone likes Asari, but I'm like, no, doesn't work. Like, that doesn't quite work. Aquatic aliens, but space jellyfish people. Yeah, see, the thing is, we have to do 3 assumptions. There are 3 assumptions. A, I want to be a god. I want to be a god. Pretty easy to understand, but the second thing, they have to be able to effectively merge with fantasy society. Easy enough to understand. And C, work with other people. Because that's kind of the idea, is that the Buddhist Wookiees, the Mao, that's all they are. They're Buddhist Wookiees. They want to become as gods because that's what they feel as a transcendent state of being. Space humans. They're humans from space. Soul robots, who I have down as Conshards. Terrible name, but I'm improvising. The soul robots, why do they want to do things? Well, they are effectively warforged. They are the men of metal, and it's like, well, we've integrated into our history that there are literal metal men that show up every now and again, and you would effectively be seen by many as a talking golem. Oh, you're a magic talking golem. In reality, you're a soul robot, made in fucking space. They don't need to know that, though. That's the point. You're the not Cenobites. Hey, you're a bunch of weird, hyper-obsessed people who want to become as gods as a vanity project, effectively. And most people in the fantasy world view you as a kind of like a super elf, effectively. Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I'm thinking of, like, you know when you say, like, fantasy, like fantasy elf? And you see things like, okay, maybe I'm gonna hit the no AI thing. You think like, oh, fantasy elf, and you're like, all right, fantasy elf here. Like, that's definitely a fantasy elf. That is definitely an elf. Definitely an elf. That is an elf. Yeah, like very elf. I'm like this. The not Cenobites are like Myrrh. Like that would be the best way of like thinking about them. Like they're really weird, like they're like that very weird understanding of like the Elder Scrolls elves, kind of odd looking, kind of strange, kind of alien, you might even say. Not even really elf-like either. We don't have a term for it, but when someone says that looks elf-like, that would be the way to understand what the I can't believe they're not Cenobites look like. We're going to show you pleasures beyond immaterial. That would be kind of the idea. Like, they don't quite look right, and it's kind of weird and uncomfortable. I think the best way to think about the not Cenobites, I don't have a name for them yet. The entire concept is that they are just so too pretty, too good looking almost, that they've progressed back to being just spooky to look at. It's kind of like when you see someone who's like a full-on like super fashion model or whatever, and like that they just look weird. Uncomfortable pretty, I think, would be a good way of thinking about it. That's what they look like. That's why I'm like, okay, what would be a good fifth race for this? Somewhat fantastic, but not quite fantasy. Like, something you could see in space, but still could fit in a fantasy world. That's the question. And that's where things get complicated. Because I'm trying to think of it, and I can't get that thing in my head. See, let's see. Is Horace online? Is our resident sad boy online? I don't think our resident sad boy is online. Zam, amphibian. Space side. They're cybernetically supported with robot limbs. Like an amphibian. All right. That's not. Be the amphibian man. We already kind of got the Golem thing with the soul robots. That's right. Like, we already kind of got that covered. If we do that, they would be like, yeah, you're like weird Atlanteans. Alright, I mean, that works. Just PM it to me. I know you types already. That will not stop you. So, like, that will not stop you. Like, I know how you operate. I know how you degenerates function. Communicate through pornographic imagery is all you understand. Alright, let's think. Okay, so that's fine enough. Well, this'll function now. This'll gonna have to probably double down on. I feel like I need to talk to somebody on this to get a better idea. Sit down and because I can see it in my head how this works. I can see it up here. I don't know why it's not clicking. Maybe I'm just really fucking tired. That's a good reason. Let's see. That reminds me, I need to shift this out now. Wowzers, everyone. Yeah, it's Bridge Commander hours. Oh god, it's Bridge Commander hours. Yes, for those who don't know, Bridge Commander is a, one of my more, how do I want to word this? Bizarre concepts. Those, far more bizarre and alien contexts. The basic idea is, and has always been, how do we play, it's Misato Simulator, otherwise known as, aliens are invading, kids are having a mental breakdown, and you are their bridge commander. How do we get players to engage with the not being the giant robots? Effectively, it's a second-person combat system. Yeah. Now, for context, the idea of like first person is you are there. It's through your eye. Third person would be viewing it from a different angle. Second person is legitimately another person is viewing someone else do something. That would be that's one of the most bizarre concepts behind Bridge Commander. Because it's effectively, you are playing Misato Katsuragi on the bridge. Like that's the best way of thinking about it. This is the situation that we're currently in. And how things are going horribly wrong. Yeah, horribly wrong for everyone involved, and you've got to manage these three fucking idiots. Now, luckily, we do have a little bit of wiggle room here. This is something very important. We have a little bit of wiggle room if I speak like I have English. And I specifically say we have a little bit of wiggle room because we've got two games here. We've got the Nerve White Paper and Magius, and we've got Adeptus Evangelion. Both of these games are very interesting to talk about. And there's a reason why I am, Zeitgeist of the Soul was still a shame neither of these videos did well, because they are actually very interesting games. They're just very how do I want to word this? Very weird games. They're very, very weird games. God, it's been a year since I've did this. It's been over a year since I've talked about the Ava RPGs. But if I were to base it off of anything, we'd be basing it off of, these two. Now, what I would say, like, when I say, like, we're basing it off one of these two, I'm being very direct about that. Because either A, you know, we can legitimately try to remake the white paper. Now, what does this mean? Effectively, the entire premise behind the white paper is that you are technically playing two characters. You are playing, you are playing not only, you know, kind of one of the main characters here. You're also kind of playing as Shinji as well. You're two people. Yeah, you're two people at once. This leads to Magius. Which Magius also does thing, but it's a little bit more direct, if that makes sense. Where you do play as one of the main staff, trying to compete for them, and then you go on to a actual, yeah. Then you go on to an actual, like, fight scene thing, trying to synchro summon. It's a very esoteric idea. That would be the best way of thinking about it. Both of these are very esoteric ideas. Yeah, it's here's the nerve phase, here's the pilot phase. We can go down this route very easily. I'm gonna send a cat to you. Like, both of these ideas are there. Unironically, what we would be needing to do is... God, it was, God, I need to go to the TG archive, don't I? One of my favorite things, and, God, it was, Bridge Command? Was it Bridge Commander? No, it wasn't Bridge Commander. It was, oh, God, fuck, what was it called? It was Ava... It was a quest from back in the day. I can see it right now. It was Evangelion. Did he even call it Evangelion? It was Nerve. It was Nerve Bridge something. Nerve Bridge Simulator. There we go. Now we're seeing. It would effectively be a Nerve Bridge Simulator game, almost. Now, obviously, we can't adapt the system directly because we're not insane, and I don't have the budget for that, because that would require a lot. On the other hand, we've got things, you know, this was a very well put together thing, and all of the various situations that erupted from it, and how people, how do I want to, people were invested in these characters because they were interesting characters with interesting problems. Bruh, really? Really, dude? Really, man? You made this fucking account yesterday. Really, man? God. Spartan, you know I am not, I would never put pornographic imagery on this sacred stream. I have never typed in Ureli mating press before and then Googled it live on air. I, for one, am a pure soul. I'm a good Catholic boy, as one might say. I'm also a pathological liar, so... Their delivery of "Oh sweet baby Jesus" still. Oh sweet Jesus. See, that's why I simply have to look at all of the pornography people send me in the off tab. I like to live dangerously, as one might say. I like to live a little bit, fast and loose in how I run this ship. And how I run this ship is into the fucking ground, I guess. Even though fucking Twitch is Twitch has been weird lately. Twitch has been going aggro on VTubers. I do not know why they're going as aggro on VTubers as they are. I'm pretty sure someone at Twitch higher up is like, oh man, we can't let the cartoon women break my Twitch views or whatever, and it's just a big thing. I can only assume that's what's going on. Like something upstairs is making all these weird obscure rules that nobody else has to follow except VTuber people. Yeah, they really want to push VTubers off the platform, but I don't think they quite understand how much money they'd be losing. Like, I don't think they quite understand, because I damn well know, YouTube would eat them up like in a fucking second. Like, yeah, no, come over here, we love VTubers. Or, Kick was trying to court them. That didn't work because Kick's a dumbass. Kick is a terrible site. I do not understand anyone who streams on. They were all perpetual zoomers, or like there's a level of brain rot on Kick that's impossible to actually understand. Like, I'm gonna go on Kick right now. Like, I don't want to go on Kick right this second. What's going on? Fortnite and then fucking number 5, gambling. I love gambling. I love gambling. Yeah, it's nothing productive happens on Kick. It's really fascinating. I remember, yeah, like hot tub streams and all that jazz. Like, I don't know anyone on Kick who is like a serious, like, oh, I'm a Kick. Like, there's XQC. Remember XQC? Yeah, he's there with 19.8 thousand, and guess what he's watching? He's playing with fucking slots. He's playing a slot machine. This is not like, oh man, no, he is playing a fucking slot machine. This man has been paid thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars to play a fucking slot machine. It's insane. I do not get it. Let's go gambling. Aw, dang it. Let's go gambling. Aw, dang it. That is legit. I don't get it. Like, it's baffling. I know, God, where was it? They were trying to promote a brand new streaming service for... Like, this is a streaming service for VTubers. Let me see. There was one that did it and they died horribly and everyone laughed at them. Oh God, where was it? Where are you? Tell me more, where the fuck is it? Tell me more. No. No, it would be in Schizoden. Of course it would be in Schizoden. Oh, dang it. Oh, God. Let's see. I mean, it's gotta be here somewhere. It's gotta be in here somewhere, man says, being forced to go through his Schizoden that he deliberately avoids. Like, people don't understand. Like, I deliberately avoid Schizoden because everything in Schizoden is a terrible, terrible experience, and nothing productive or good happens. Do you ever clean the den? I've cleaned it twice. We should do another purge. but people for some reason like leave notes inside of it. Yeah, people will like leave notes being like, "Oh man, like I'm gonna let me bring up." Oh yeah. Hey, what was that VTuber? What was that VTuber streaming site? But yeah, no, it's like I look at like some of these like Twitch's things being weird. YouTube's always weird. Like, always understand. YouTube is always a weird platform to be on in general because shit will get picked up seemingly at random, and once you get picked up by seemingly random shit, you'll get a bunch of views. Other times you just don't for seemingly random reasons. Like City of God got picked up for some reason. Don't know why, don't know how, got picked up. Did better than a lot of my other videos. Blackacre is not getting picked up by anything. Not a single thing. The anima video got picked up. Again, I don't know what happened there. Like, some things get kind of picked up by the algo, some things really don't. It is seemingly random sometimes. Streaming on YouTube is a gamble core. Ricardo, that was it. Yeah, this is the new one. Yeah, this is the new one that they've been pushing. That's just porn. That's just pornography. Okay, everyone. Yeah, it's supposed to be art in general. Like, oh, this is what you're doing. You're art streaming. However, it's yeah, no, it's they've got a very certain audience, let's just say that already. See, top products, mini art bundle, that's just porn. That's just pornography. Pointing. See, if I want to be a real hero, what I could do is that I could go on here, dual stream to Picardo, and build my, build my audience this way. Let's stream on the most exactly like Kick's weird. I mean, the art, that's ancient. Yeah, it's the thing is, like, yeah, Picardo's trying to court a bunch of VTubers now, and like Kick likes VTubers. Here's the thing: Kick the company likes VTubers. Kick people who are on Kick do not like VTubers, though. That's the secret. Because there's a bunch of people on Kick who harass the shit out of VTubers for whatever fucking reason, because they're anime girls. Legitimately speaking, people on Kick do not like them. The Kick itself wants it because it's money. I haven't thought about dual streaming to YouTube. I've thought about it. I've debated it. And I ultimately decided not to. Here's the thing. Like, if I were to ever dual stream to YouTube, it would not be on this version. It would be on the Deep Dark Dungeon. It would be on the alt account, effectively. And the alt account, can you give me a guide of this game? Fucking half the game is random and gamble core maxing. But yeah, like, I would want to do it on here because this is where all of the alt stream go. Like that, like, this is where the thing is. Like, Yeah, like some of these just don't even like. Yeah, they don't go much of anywhere. They're like the way that these are kind of formatted out are supposed to be very like. These are where all the streams go. If you ever want to watch one of the streams, it's going to be on here. There's 356 of these streams, by the way. Yeah, like these like 9 views. They're not supposed to get views necessarily. They are legitimately here for my sake. These are archives. This is a streaming archive. And that's just the nature of the beast here a little bit. People didn't like the Yick 2, the Yickening demo with Alex and friends. There's a couple of these like, yeah, they're not really supposed to get that many things. Even when it comes to being like, oh well, I want to do like random video games and get mad. Like that's not. No one actually wants to like watch a 5-hour stream of me getting really mad at Diatonic. Like no one wants to watch me do this because Diatonic isn't actually that interesting. You know, people, yeah, my full run through of Sunlit, you know, yeah, that's not the point. Yeah, remember this experience, everyone. Remember the about 150 attempts we did to do this just right? I remember. But yeah, like, I would want to stream it on here, but this channel does not have streaming permissions because there's not enough things here to do that. Yeah. Like, what, can I even do that? Yeah, it's like, I think I can do it. I think I can. It kind of depends. But that's just me. Multi-kick the stream, Picardo and fucking Rumble. Hell yeah. I will multi-stream to the fucking world. Every single person will see my dog shit setup. Oh god, right there, right my foot. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's it. That's it, Mr. Picard. Try another Weekend Warrior stream to the main channel to see if something happens. Yeah, it's just, I think a lot of people who subscribe to the main channel aren't looking for that necessarily. They're just looking for the videos, which, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna blame them for that. Let's see. Let's see. What do we want to do here? Actually, I'm getting distracted. So let's see. Generally speaking, there's a couple ways of doing bridge command, and it really depends on how we approach this. How do we bridge command? Like this is the central dogma question. This is the be all end all. We can either go down the white book method, which is alternating pretty much like staff versus pilots, which is you kind of gotta like almost kind of like the idea of like jockeying, you know, not even that. It'd be like you're kind of alternating there. You have the Magius method, which is the really fucking weird one. Which is, the Magius method is staff compete for pilots. And then you have, we go, third option. Then we do the third option in which we do something completely different. Like, we completely deviate. Just consider Twitter. You just have to give Elon his funny bucks and you could stream on Twitter too. Use Bridge the card game. Twitter, like, there's a part of me that does not Kriegspiel. Little Kriegspiel. Like, there's a part of me that, like, it's very funny. Also, here's some really high quality things that tells me that people are making a lot of money when they shouldn't. Because you get people like one of my seconds, like Mildra here. Mildra wants to be, you know, the first tabletop focused VTuber. Mildra buys the blue check mark. Mildra buys the blue check mark. This is known. There's a lot of people who buy the blue check mark who probably don't need to buy the blue check mark. That's just the nature of the beast. That's what you need to do. You need to buy the blue check mark. Model scares me. I see anime woman would. But yeah, no, it's like I don't know really the point of buying the blue check mark. Or like, oh man, your tweets will get promoted. You mean my schedule that I post ritualistically Sunday or Monday? Yeah, that's not really doing much. That's kind of the problem there. It's I would like to believe that they're doing more, but it's really no. He's like flat. Well, I mean, he is 2D. See, people have said like, oh, I should get a real model. Little do they know that I want to switch out my model every 5 minutes. And being able to dramatically change my clothes is a talent that I am only allowed to do because of this. But yeah, Kriegspiel could be an option for the game. You just consider the orders you want to give. And yeah, it's not rigged very well. That's the problem. It's not rigged very well. And then the GM or something interprets them. Yeah, it's like that's the weird thing with Bridge Commander, and it's like that's always been one of its more strange design principles you have to think about, which is who are you playing as? Who are you playing as? Because you could say, well, you play as the staff of not Nerve. That's a very different game than you play as the pilots of not Nerve. But technically, if we want to do this right, it's you play as both the staff and pilots of not, both of which have very different goals in mind, which is one of those like weird things to consider. And like, how do you do that right? Because White Book has effectively like a card system for its combat. Because what you do in its combat system is that you shuffle up the deck and you effectively draw a card. You draw one or two cards to determine what actually occurs. You can draw a card saying you instantly kill the angel. Just immediately draw the I win button and you kill the angel with an attack. But you can also do the do fucking nothing and then everyone laughs at you card, and then it draws damage on you. Magius has its like weird D6 system. And the third option is a completely esoteric thing. It's like these all resolve things differently. Allocating like bridge. Plays allocated resource investment to one side or the other, and things happen from there. Yeah, effectively, it's like you can make a board game variant. If I were to make a board game variant of this would probably be a lot easier. But we have the one thing that we always have to do. One very important thing. This is a TTRPG. And that's where things get complicated. Because what do people want to play? Do you want to play as staff? Do you want to play as staff? staff or pilots. Both are inherently interesting for very different reasons. Misato Katsuragi is an interesting character because she has interesting problems and a unique dynamic with effectively all of the pilots. I see that over there. We're going to casually ignore that eBay posting. But then it's like, okay, but people also want to play Shinji Ikari, because Shinji Ikari is inherently an interesting character with his own interesting problems that go on with it, including his weird detective side story in which he becomes a literal actual detective with Koharu. We don't talk about that one. Very how to cosplay as Shinji Ikari. Yeah, it's just like, both of these characters are interesting. However, Shinji's interesting because he gets in the giant fucking robot, and that is, Misato does not get in the giant fucking robot. That is also a consideration to keep in line with. How to cosplay Shinji. First you need some glue. I think it should be command who actions target staff cards and they are in conflict. Like, even like technically you can go like full like weird solo game with this, by the way. That is another option. It is like a bizarre fucking like the horrifying like bizarre nightmare creature, you know, simulacra would be like a fucking would be like a goddamn like solo game effectively. The solo game would be like effectively you are playing Gendo. You are Gendo maxing. Now, what does this actually mean to Gendo max? It means that you have an objective. You want to do something important, and people are acting against you. What does this mean? It means that there is some people here. There is a person you need to worry about over here. There's also a person over here you need to worry about, and don't forget about people over here. All of them are wanting something. And these people are now answering to different people. Now, these people are, you know, working with different people, and these people are working with different people, and so on and so forth. And you get this horrifying, you know, labyrinthine group of people who are all working against and for you. The ideas being is, how do you manage this while keeping your own conspiracy under wraps? That would be the hard part. Is how do you keep your own conspiracy under wraps while allocating resources to doing that, while making sure that Shinji Ikari does his fucking job? The problem is, that's very difficult to do because Shinji Ikari is an independent character, and the entire thing with that is that you can't control Shinji. Shinji does things of his own will, and all you can do is direct him to do things correctly. Staff to modify the dice rolls of your pilot. See, that's why I was thinking about even going down the Magius method. Because the Magius method is effectively, the staff are competing for the pilots. What does that actually mean? It's the staff are trying to... There are 4 players. There are 4 players in, you know, currently going on. We know fundamentally that there are 3 pilots. Now, the thing is, everyone wants control of those pilots. Everyone wants to gaslight the pilots to do what they want. Now, the thing is, you cannot do that because certain people are going to have a higher affinity for, certain other pilots than other people. Just over time, the more they get to influence them, the more they get to. So you have the internal drama up here of everyone gaslighting one another, all while trying to determine the future of these three, or however many pilots. And then it would be, okay, hey, you are going to be you are the CO you are the CO this time. You are really good at being a CO. Cool, that's your job now. That's your thing. The worry and the difficult part here, the real difficult part here is, in an Evangelion game, everyone wants to play Shinji Ikari. So there is a natural draw to want to compete to become Shinji Ikari. There is that natural, the natural draw to become Yogurt Boy. That's the point. You want to become this kid because he's your favorite character, and we like him. Fundamentally speaking, we like him. However, the issue, though, you might be saying, if we make our own, players don't really have an influence here as much. Unless these are like randomized almost. But even then, the thing that I don't want to have the thing I don't want to have happen, and this is I think going to be the hard part, is that everyone kind of mutually agrees to pick a pilot, and that's just their pilot. Oh, well, you won't compete with me for pilot 2, right? No one will compete with me for this one because I've sunk too much time into them and now it's my thing. Everyone wants to play Cowboy Bebop at his computer. Yeah, everyone wants to play the main characters, obviously. I guess the defining feature is, can the pilot subvert the dynamic? In the white book, technically they sort of can, because one of the big things in the white book is that since you are playing the pilots, losing your shit, you're playing the pilots and the staff effectively, losing your shit, pilots can kind of willingly do things to fuck themselves over that no one wants to touch them, and then everything goes wrong. Magius doesn't have that as much. The main issue with Magius is that everyone's competing over that person, and because everyone is competing over that person, they are getting more stressed and things are going wrong effectively. Which kind of leads into the issue of everyone's going to kind of pick their favorite. You would almost need to have because again, the most immediate idea for something like this, most immediate idea is like whoever selects it kind of gets to determine where they go. It's just like, hey, by virtue of taking control of this person, you are now deciding how they are improving, how they are choosing to approach things. This is your problem, effectively, now. Multiple people competing for the same character means multiple people are competing for the same thing, effectively. We're competing for the destiny of these characters. Unless you put in, like, a big thing saying, like, everyone's part of a slightly different conspiracy, and the certain character, and the entire idea is that you're trying to align the characters to certain, conspiracies or certain beliefs. And because you're trying to align them perfectly, the competition for them can get a little bit more heated. But again, we're kind of drifting off into some weirder territory in that regard. If you do something like that, being like the staff want to deliberately manipulate the pilots, if that makes sense. The staff want to actively manipulate the pilots to do something productive. They, like, you need to... You're working with me now, and I'm Kaji, and I work for the UN. You have to, I want you to work with me at the end. And kind of the idea is that you can have... Effectively, we'd almost need to have a way to roll up different characters, like different pilots right off the bat, that you don't even know all of their problems right away. Does that make sense? Like, you don't know... Like, it's one of those things, like, you don't know how they're going to respond to certain things right away until you uncover those problems about them, or you are dealing with them immediately. Hey, this character actively hates the other one. You cannot align, if you cannot align them together. If one is aligned this way, they do not want to be aligned that way. No matter what you do, they will not. That's kind of a way to subvert expectations, where a player's part of that will... If you're playing a certain character, you may want to get them on board for your thing to make sure that they stop supporting another person. But again, this is like a weird board game thing, which, I mean, we could probably... In a half-delusional rant, we could probably make a board game variant of this pretty easily, with this as the premise, effectively. Like, you're a bunch of chuckle fucks having to work together to advance your conspiracy inside of this thing, all while effectively needing to not break these 3 pilots, because if you do, everyone dies. Everyone loses. Everyone is playing the Game of Thrones, except there's always a lose button. Everyone can lose, or one of us can win. That's the game there, and there comes that end game scenario could be, I'm deliberately going to sabotage this entire operation, legitimately to make sure that other esoteric, yeah, but I guess the goal would be trying to make Nerve Bridge Commander the role-playing, the tabletop role-playing game experience. Why is there so much Star Trek art? Like, with the worst end game being everyone gets shot to death by the by the JSDF. Like, yeah, well, welcome to my favorite ending, where everyone dies to the JSDF. Like that's an ending and a half if I've ever seen one. Why are you here? Comey, what? Comey, like, what? It's such a specific piece of artwork. That's the worst part. It's such a specific piece of artwork, and it's not bad either. That's the worst part. It's not even bad, man. Like, design interplayer conflicts like that feel wrong in a TTRPG. And everyone is a loss factor to that simulation. Designed like, yeah, that's why I say, like, that would serve better as a board game. Like, Bridge Commander the board game is actually inherently a kind of a fun idea. But we need to make this a TTRPG. And roughly speaking, we need to factor in a group. Like the solo game variant is an idea, maybe. Like, it's we're working with... There's a reason this has never been done before. And that very specific reason is why we're here. Is because it's never been done before. And you wanna know what happens when things have never been done before? You start fucking improvising. Everyone starts improvising. There is no hope. We are gambling. I love gambling. I love gambling. Like, yeah, Bridge Commander's over there. We're going to shun it. We're going to ignore our problems and look at other things to worry about. And the thing like Ramiel, like the computer has a rifle plan, the players have the coordinator, else the plan gets the missing parts. Just a 5e before hitting it big. See, that's the weird thing with Bridge Commander. Again, it's such an esoteric concept. Is like, how do you do this correctly? It's such a... There's a reason no one's done this before, is because it's something that doesn't and shouldn't exist. But why do I want to make it? Because it's inherently an interesting idea. I want to play Gendo Ikari. I want to be Misato Katsuragi, making sure 3 barely functional children make sure, to function. That's the problem. I want to watch people make those interesting choices because Nerve Bridge Simulator or Nerve Bridge Commander was a really fascinating quest. It was really the only quest I kind of got involved in. And it's interesting because every character is you get really invested in characters that are not really all that deep. They're 4chan posts. They can't be like they can't be huge. They can't be like really deep or anything. That's inherently in the problem. Sin, one might say. But I still feel bad when one of those kids didn't make it back. I still felt bad for David. And it was sad seeing David die in Nerve Bridge Simulator. That fucking kid went through hell three times back, and he fucking died a hero. And it's sad. And it's a weird situation. Is like, why do I feel this way about effectively a drawn image? Is it the writing? Is it the characters? No, it's because we ordered him to do that. He was making that call. We could have pulled him out. We could have done everything, but no. We made him do that, and he died because of our misdeeds. All of that kid's suffering was our fault. We treated him like shit because he was a little crybaby. But then we realized that kid's got a lot of fucking issues that we were not handling because we obsessed over the other girls. And it was sad because you don't realize it until you've lost someone and they're dead now. Or even down to the fucking pilot. I can't remember her name. It was Falcon, I think. She was our air support. We had 3 options. Save a child, risk it all for her. She's gonna most likely not gonna make it. Abandon the child, abandon the Evangelion, but keep her safe. The worst possible situation, or do fucking nothing and lose everything. We made a risk. We saved the child. Oh no, she gets shot down. She dies because of our actions. And you're like, God damn it, we lost our fucking plane wife. Fuck. And she dies early on. That was the interesting with Bridge Nerve Command, is that you lose a lot. We lost a lot of characters early on. People died. People died making choices that we were implicit in. Sometimes it was because of our inaction, just as much of it was our action. That was interesting to me because people were making choices that had a resounding impact on other characters doing things. That doesn't seem very exciting, but if you think about it, people making interesting choices to facilitate a story is all TTRPGs are. And that's what hit me. It was like, I'm fundamentally in this. I want to see how this goes. I want to see these characters be fucking miserable because we made mistakes. And that's interesting to me. And I think I wanted to see more of that. So if we can do that with Bridge Commander, if I can stat David and I can save David, we're so back, Kings. We're gonna be so back. Hmm. 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 Okay. Actually, then let's, what games do we want to do? Easy peasy. We could probably, generally speaking, we can do one of these. Both of them are interesting for their own right, but they would require some writing. Crisis Core is easy enough to do. I'm gonna green light that on my green light. I'm gonna green light that on myself. D2000 we could do. Let's see. I mean, what other system? Much. Nothing immediate comes to mind. No, nothing. Like these two are like full like retrofits. We need to go in there and fundamentally change certain mechanics to make it, to facilitate its existence more. D2000's just a gigantic shit show and needs just a lot of work to make it the way that I want it to work. Again, a very vague statement with a very specific word behind why. Crisis Core is not going to take too long to do. Like, Crisis Core is pretty easy. I'm saying we could do the JRSD or we can do the USSRD. Both of these are extremely valid. I'm saying we can do one of them because they are other systems effectively, and that does mean rewriting certain things with it. Let's see. 12v4 is going to be a maybe. We're gonna big maybe, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be a big maybe, depending entirely on how Broken Crucible. If I'm really happy with Broken Crucible, I'll adapt the 12v4 SRD. It would be pretty easy to understand. The alternate Hungary is pretty much from the Arknights game. I think it works well. I've heard nothing but good so far from the one playtest. Things seem to work the way I intended, even if elemental damage is a little high. But that is a relative easy. So we might need. Am I missing? I feel like I'm missing. I don't know. McQueen, I don't know. Standard issue. Ooh, science fiction. Yeah, like, technically we have the center system, the notepad narrative framework. There's a couple games that are... tits. Totally isn't Tron, I swear. Oh no. I'll think on this later. Alright, I'm gonna call it there. Stream will be tomorrow. We're going to play something. The People's System Reference Document. Effectively, the USSRD, baby. we're gonna play something. I've got a few ideas. I looked at the one game you suggested, Spartan. I do not actually think I could play it on stream. Being perfectly frank, and not because I'm like, it's porn. I don't think I could do it because of how I have to set certain things up. It looks interesting and kept getting recommended. I've also realized, fun fact, like survival horror. Fun fact, kids. I got a survival horror on like Steam. Like 80% of the shit on there is like, it's fucking Dead by Daylight is not a survival horror game. It is a fucking cock and ball torture simulator. Nothing good. Lethal Company is not. No. Escape the Backrooms. Escape to get. Fuck you. Like, there's so many of these, like multiplayer games now. I'm like, oh, these aren't really spooky. These aren't really scary. Being with a bunch of friends is not inherently scary. I am not scared by Lethal Company. I am not. I'm not spooked by it. Like I am. Yeah, there's a couple like odd ones to do, and it's like, okay, how do we want to do this? Like, it's like, oh, it's don't worry, everyone. It's secretly secretly going to be something productive. It's a funny game. Like, I'm trying to find like a good, like a solid game that is not 30 minutes long. Like a 30-minute long visual novel, or like a 25-hour survival horror, 250-hour survival horror game where nothing like productive happens for hours. Oh boy, it's a survival crafter. Yeah, that's inherently a scary thing. You know, Thief Chaz 9 viewers. Not exactly, but you literally survive horror. I don't survive horror in fucking Dead by Daylight. I survive playing that game, and I feel sad doing it. Yeah, there we go. Let's I see that. I see these things. You're not gonna hurt me, are you? I am a boy. What? Spartan? Spartan? You know that I hate men. This is known. No, I don't want to. What? Oh wait, are they male? That's what they say. It's right here. I mean, let's listen to. Please stop the ad. I fucking hate ads. Let's see. Like. Over every man. It's so fucking over, Kate. It's so over. It never even began. I just want to save them. I have to save them. You don't understand. Let's see what's on WVT. Nothing productive happens on WVT. Oh, hello. You like to get mad on Twitter, I've realized. That's a YouTube thing. Gondola? No. It's men. So it's so over. Tenma raid? Patchwork beanie. Let me. It can't be that bad, right? Oh, we've already done things. They're playing Factorio. They're already autistic. They don't need our help. So over, Queens. It's over.